Evening, everyone. Call the regular town council meeting for Thursday, August the 11th, 2022. This meeting is being held in person. It can also be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or on the internet by accessing townhallstreams.com and selecting Bucksport. Questions or comments may be submitted prior to or during the meeting by emailing slessard@bucksportmaine.gov or during the meeting by calling 469-7368. I will remind you this would be a great opportunity to turn off your cell phones, and if you are going to speak, please come up to the microphone. Next is call the roll. Jacob.
Councillor Eastman is absent. Councillor Morrison.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bissonnette.
Here.
Mayor Stewart is absent. Councillor Ormsby.
Here.
Councillor Downs.
Here.
Councillor Wright.
Here. Thank you. Next is presentation of any town council recognitions. I'm not seeing any this evening. Next is consider minutes of previous meetings. We have minutes from the town council meeting on July the 28th, 2022. Council like to proceed.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion and second. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next, receive and review correspondence. We have three. The first is Verona Police Call from July the 28th, 2022. We also have an Orland Police Call from July the 22nd, 2022. And we have the MMA insurance dividend information. Sue, do you have anything to add to any of those?
Just that this year's rebate on our insurance for our self-funded pools is $10,207. So that's up. I believe last year's was around 8. So that's an increase, and that's a reflection of our good utilization or lack of utilization of our insurances.
Questions or comments for Steve? Thank you. Next is ordinances to consider or introduce. First under that is a first reading of Chapter 6 licensing regulations for marijuana establishments. Any questions or comments there? Next will be a first reading of proposed changes to the fee schedule.
So
we can.
You can do it there, or you can do it under regulatory.
I'll do it under the
review
regulatory
board.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next is discussion items. The first there is from Code Enforcement, 264 Central Street, a request to pursue violation.
So, this property has been one that's been on my list for a while. I've sent countless letters of violations, and I've talked to him. At this point, he's not responding to my letters, and he's not answering the phone, and he's not returning my messages. So, if I can't get any kind of response, then I'm asking for permission to talk with the town lawyer about starting an 80K and try and go that route.
Questions, comments?
how long have you been trying to?
A year.
Yep. Okay.
And this is many violations.
Yes.
Is this the one that is not the owner-occupied property?
His grandfather technically owns it.
Yeah.
Any objection to pursuing that further?
No objection.
Okay. Thank you, Luke. Next is Infrastructure Committee meeting report. That will be me. From the Infrastructure Committee meeting, we met with Skate Bucksport, and they put together another proposal. Of course, we are taking delivery of the skate park equipment next week, and the decision that we came with out of the committee meeting was to put the equipment at the spot that's been talked about on Elm Street at the playground, at which point it will be, one of two things will happen. They will have the material that makes it more durable and weatherproof, and they will apply that as soon as possible, or if that doesn't look like that will be the case for this for the fall, they will shrink wrap it as soon as possible. And and we will go from there in the spring. It was a good conversation around, basically we're looking at that location as a beta test. So what that means is that we're trying it out there. This is a unique situation in that most skate parks aren't built with the equipment first. You do a lot of planning, but of course the donation of the equipment here is an interesting factor. So basically what it is we're going to try it there. That seems to be the place that works the best for everyone. And take a look at what all of the pros are, what all of the cons are, and weigh whether it remaining there is in the best interest of the town, et cetera. And kind of go from there. I don't think I'm doing anything.
Excuse me, did they discuss at all the ground preparation before they put in there?
Yes, to put it there is very little ground preparation needed. If it does stay there permanently, long term there would be, and they've called that out. They called that out in their presentation. But for right now, in terms of beta testing purposes, there isn't anything additional that needs to be done.
So that's not gonna get hot top before they,
It's already hot top.
well, I thought we were talking about the grass area between the ball field and the playground.
There's
hot top,
hot top, and it's hot top there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's already hot top. There's only a little strip that's grass,
Yeah,
Yep.
right up against the fence.
and that's not gonna be messed with. They're gonna just
That
use the
would-
hot top area.
That would require a
Yep.
major, because that slants
Yep.
down.
And that was it. Any other questions? That was all we discussed.
Uh,
No, that's, did
tennis
it again. The other thing we discussed at infrastructure was what we want to do with the tennis courts. The tennis courts, to put it bluntly, have fallen into a state of disrepair, and something needs to be done with them. Rich has investigated how much it would cost to repair the tennis courts to a usable condition that would last for a while, and the estimate, quite frankly, is over between $200,000 and $250,000. That seems, the committee determined that seems like a lot of money to spend without getting some data first in terms of usage, other alternatives. There also needs to be some tests done, test borings done to see what is going on under the tennis court that we have right now. So the action that's coming out of that is that Rich is going to work on gathering data as to how much that will be used. Really, the question is, do we even want to pursue maintaining a tennis court? And if so, do we want to do it at that location? All right, next is Regulatory Review Committee meeting report.
So during regulatory review, we discussed establishing the municipal license for marijuana establishments, and Luke went over that. Then we also discussed the fee schedule updates, and during that discussion, we asked for the residential fee reduction, so actually lowering that a little bit, but the consensus was the rest of them seemed okay.
Questions or comments? Thank you.
Excuse me, for clarification.
Yep.
Councillor Ormsby, it's residential fees to remain at their current rate,
Yes.
not a reduction.
I'm sorry, yes, yep.
Okay. Just
A
clarifying
reduction
it.
from the actual, like,
From
the
the
raise, the
proposed.
proposed, yep.
Okay.
Luke, what do you get more of the inspections of, for commercial or residential?
Residential.
By just a rough percentage?
95% of my permit inspections are residential.
And that's going to increase with the insulation and all that.
Yes.
That's my only concern. I mean, maybe doubling it's not the answer, but my only concern is the amount of time he's going to be focusing. Because I'm not even fully aware of all the regulations, but I know they're insane.
Yep.
The amount of them that are being added.
Is a housing development a residential permit or a commercial permit?
Housing development.
Well, if Mr. Wishrock, would it do the
Oh,
resident?
that would be considered multifamily, which I have under commercial.
That is commercial, okay. I'm just, for for if someone proposed a subdivision with 40 homes, is that's a commercial,
What I'm talking about is just, this is specifically single-family and two-family homes, which right now are going for $350,000, and the permit's about $130. It's pretty minor in
So-
the scheme of things.
So for that subdivision, you get a permit for the subdivision to be there, and then you get a permit for each one of the homes that are going into the subdivision?
No, there's no permit for a subdivision per se. There's planning board approval, and there's fees for the site plan review by the planning board, but there's no permit for that. What Sue was mentioning was the proposed project that would go in at 27 Main Street, which was like 18 apartments. and-
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
So that, I guess that is technically a subdivision, but that would be a multifamily, so it'd be considered commercial, so they would pay the 25 cents a square foot.
But the subdivision goes to whoever's building.
Right.
The
It's just a
person
regular
building the
building
house.
Permit for whoever's building the house, correct. Yeah.
There is a local contractor who's seeking permits or whatever to put a subdivision somewhere on
Bucks
Bucks Mills Road.
Correct. It's a 14 lot. Each lot would have a single family dwelling on it.
Yeah, with a possible addition of 10 more lots later, I think I saw it.
Yeah,
right?
at least 5 years down the road.
That's just, would be
Yeah.
my 2 cents, maybe not 20 cents, but maybe
Yeah.
15 in
I would just remind you that, and I mean, you can do whatever you want, but these are still the lowest rates of any town around here. Even lower than Verona Island. I mean,
It's, see, for me, like, I appreciate that question. Like, how many are you doing, like the 95% or high? And I still, what's that?
I wish it was more commercial, but.
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of stand that I get that, and but at the same time, me personally, like, I feel like people are building, and they're building houses, they're building decks, they're doing those things, and I don't want to, as a town official, charge them more for that if they're already paying a lot of money to do those things. So,
and we do receive it, bigger houses on the taxes, things like that. So,
I mean, I do understand the fees when it comes to the other parts of it, like the commercial. Those places are making money. So, but when it comes to the residential ones, those are the ones that really, the sign fees. If that sign fee was split into two, and you had a commercial sign fee, and then, well, you know what I mean. Somebody putting out a sign on the front lawn for something, they're a small business or something like that. Like $5 sounds great to me, but we have how do you judge that? I guess the big, McDonald's comes in. It's a bigger company, and they can afford it. So that's why I always struggle with the fee schedule.
The only thing I would add is back to the point I made during the committee meeting, of course, is that you always, to me, it seems like you would want to strike a balance between, if somebody's going to build whatever it is, they should be picking up their fair share of the fee, and I think there's a vested interest in the town to pick up a portion of that fee as well, right? We should be vested in having people build homes here, develop businesses here, all of that. I think what might help, Luke, in terms of an informed conversation is, and I'm not asking you to, but a typical inspection, what does that entail for you in terms of time? And I'm not asking for that tonight, but for second reading, to kind of, if you walk into a new construction home, what are the things that you have to do? How much time does that entail? And then we can break that down in terms of dollars and cents. Because I've got to be honest, if you're building a $350,000 home in the town of Bucksport and your permit fee is $130, that seems rather low to me. Because if it costs the town of Bucksport, and this is a totally uninformed number, $500 for you to do the inspections, then the taxpayers are picking up far more of that portion of you doing that work than the person that's building the home. I think there needs to be, that needs to be reviewed. So I think in terms of having that conversation, it would be interesting for you to kind of break that down. Now, I'm not asking you to do that on every line here, unless you wanted to, but I just, yeah, that would.
Well, I can tell you that there's a foundation inspection, framing inspection, insulation inspection, final inspection, and occupancy inspection. Each one of those inspections is at least an hour typically, plus mileage.
So you got roughly 5
That's
hours
5
plus
hours.
mileage in each inspection.
At least, and that's if everything goes smooth and I don't have to look at anything multiple times.
Is that septic included in that?
No, septic and plumbing are separate inspections. But separate
But that's a
permits as
separate
well.
permit, right.
When I had my septic system put in out there in East Bucksport, there were 5 smiley faces drawn on that septic system before it was approved. 5 trips he made out there.
But what are the additional inspections that you're going to have to do?
I didn't used to have to inspect the insulation.
Okay.
Now I have to go through and inspect and make sure that they've put the insulation that they said they're gonna put in the res check reports that they do before I issue the permit. And then I have to check that they have to leave all the stickers and everything on all the windows and doors, and I have to make sure that all the windows and doors have the U ratings that are specified in the res check. Just a lot of extra little things that you've got to go through and check for and look at.
They have to leave the stickers on the windows.
Until I've done the inspection, yeah. Because I have to be able to see what the U factors are. I can't just take their word for it. So, I know it's silly, but that's the energy code. So before they can even issue the building permit, they have to go through a res check program, which is a free program online. And you put in the square footage of each room, walls, how much glazing you have, doors, and everything, and you have to put in the U factor for each thing. You have to put in the insulation of each wall and ceiling and floor and everything, and you have to get a certain point score in order for me to even issue the building permit
Are these things dictated by the state or by the town?
by the state.
By the state.
And it's hard, especially when it's a homeowner that wants to build themselves, to try and explain all this to them. They don't understand, and it's a huge burden. But now when it's a contractor, they're learning and they're getting to know how it all works. It's still a burden, but at least they understand it. But each time somebody comes in that wants to build themselves, and a significant number of people still build their own home.
Mhm.
And, so
Are there any, so do people, do you ever go and consult beforehand too?
oh yes, I meet with them in the office and explain it all to them and go through it. And if there are, like Hammond Lumber, if you know how some people get their house plans done there,
Yeah.
Hammond Lumber will do the res check for them and walk them through it, and that's a huge help if they're doing it that way. But some people don't want to even, have plans done by Hammond Lumber, which is fine. It's not a requirement. But it's just extra stuff.
That process has to be done one way or the other,
Yeah, it has to be done before I can issue the permit. And then those inspections are to verify that everything in that report that they did before the permit was issued is how they built it.
What about obviously there's heating, so if I'm building with all new heat pumps, what inspections are you doing there?
Right now, I'm not.
But that's coming, I believe.
It's already been passed.
Okay.
They just approved the mechanical code last fall, and
So
I'm supposed to be issuing mechanical permits, which we don't even have any kind of structure for issuing mechanical permits because it's never been done here. So
that's next. Okay.
yeah,
At the second reading, Would you mind just putting down like a ballpark of like your pay and mileage kind of included, just give us a rough idea of your average residential inspection? Like, if you're figuring 5 hours,
If you can give me time, Luke, I'll do the calculation with salary and benefits, because part of his cost is his benefits
Right.
as well as his.
I mean, for second rate, we don't need it tonight.
No, I couldn't do it tonight off the top of my head.
All right,
but-
so let's get on it. What is
I
it?
can give you a ballpark, but it wouldn't be as accurate as it can be when he just has a chance to think about the number of inspections. And we do try to be really smart about it, because Caitlin does her inspections when, we try to not besiege people,
Caitlin and I typically try and go together.
so that they go at the same time, so a property owner doesn't have to have one show up and then the next show up, and this, we do them as efficiently as possible, but there's still requirements for that, because assessing doesn't get fees for this, but they are also required to do inspections in order to be able to do that. So that is an additional cost on these permits, so.
And for what it's worth, a lot of these surrounding towns also charge a fee, which is mind-boggling to me. They charge a separate fee for occupancy permit inspection, and if you don't pass, they charge you each time. They have to go out there and do that. To me, that just seems like it should be included in the building permit. That's part of it, but yeah, and it's crazy some of the fees some of these towns charge.
Well, for me, I think in this conversation, like the things that you're explaining, they do make sense, and like I like what Paul had said with, like as long as there's a balance, like if it totally makes sense that we need to raise those fees, where obviously I've never been through that inspection process or done that, so I don't know, so I would like to see that information.
For example, if the cost to the town for normal inspection was $350 on the $350, then the homeowner getting $120 of that is less than half.
Yeah.
We're not to where I think it's going to be higher than that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
State of Maine will send out an inspector for anything you need inspected in your home. Anything. Electrical, plumbing, anything. Cost you a fee, $50, the rest we paid for electrical.
So with that, is that like a free service that you do, pretty much? Like if they say we want to build this, will you come out and talk to us about it, or is there a fee for that? Like a consult fee, or
I
no?
do that all the time.
Okay.
I did one today where they wanted to cut some trees in the shoreline zone. I was out there for almost 2 hours walking through the woods.
Yeah.
If I issue the permit, it'll be $25.
Yeah.
Because that's the minimum permit fee, and so, and it's just cutting trees, but it's all that time. But that's my job. I'm not
Yeah.
complaining. It was a nice walk.
It was good to get out of the office.
But, there's,
Mm. Yep.
Yeah, to answer your question, when people call and they say, can you come walk this with me, or,
Yep.
Mark Eastman called the other day, there was some issues on the lot he's selling on School Street, and Rich and I were up there for, I don't know, a couple hours.
So you have to walk a lot if somebody's gonna be doing any, cutting,
If it's in the shoreline zone, I do.
what, alongside of a pond, you mean?
Any kind of a pond or stream or anything.
What are they doing down the gullies down behind my house?
Yeah. I've been down there. I was down there last Thursday for a few hours,
How'd you get down there?
from Jacob Buck Pond Road.
Oh. Got right to the lot, no problem, huh?
I did, to the one where they're cutting right now.
Mhm.
Kevin Friedman's doing the cutting right now.
Billy
Billy
Gray's
Gray's
doing
doing the earthwork.
I had heard that, yeah.
I've issued permits for the tree cutting and for the road, but, that's a long, separate discussion.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You check out the yurts next door?
Not yet. I've heard about them. I didn't know if they were actually there yet or not.
Oh, yeah, he's renting that place out left and right.
No
I
permits.
know, 'cause
No permits.
every
have
once in a
been
while,
issued
one
for
of them
that.
comes through, staggering through my dooryard.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Excuse me. Next is agenda items. The only item I see there is Resolve 2023-12 to approve consultant contract with, hope I say this right, is it T.Y. Lin Racer? Am I saying it correctly? Okay.
This is we had one bidder on the PPI project with MDOT. The bid, our share of that is $35,482.62. You had approved up to $40,000 as the town's share of this. This is lower. This is a firm that is approved by MDOT who has reviewed this proposal, and but it requires the approval of the council to hire them as the consultant for us for this program.
Just a question, is it 11 or 12? On the agenda it's 12 and the resolve has 11, 2023 11.
I'm sorry, it is really 11. And
Okay,
the reason that it's really 11 is there was a separate item that was going to be on the
Yeah.
agenda, and it
Okay.
was taken off. So thank you, that's a good catch, Kathy. I'm Councilor Downs, because it is 11 is the correct number.
okay, okay.
Very good. So I will reread that and then entertain a motion. The resolve is 2023-11 to approve consultant contract with T.Y. Lin Razor. How would the council like to proceed?
Motion approved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Next is resignations, appointments, assignments, and elections. Not seeing any. Next would be approval of quick claims, discharges, and deeds. Not seeing any of those. And we have, next is the town manager report and the department head reports.
The Jacob Buck Pond Culvert Project will begin on Monday, August 15th, and will take approximately 5 weeks to complete. Jacob Buck Pond Road will be closed to through traffic from after the first two houses from the Millvale Road intersection to just before Willis Road, and therefore access to Willis Road and the remainder of Jacob Buck Pond Road will be from Turkey Path. We apologize for any inconvenience, and while we have approximated 5 weeks, we are in hopes that it will be done sooner than that, but I would rather start off with the maximum and be pleasantly surprised when it finishes sooner than we anticipated. Wardwell Construction is doing that project. The Reclaim Grade Pave project on Silver Lake Road will start on Monday, August 22nd. There will be flaggers and the road will remain open, but there may be some delays. The project runs from the intersection of Millvale and Silver Lake to the power line just before the Silver Lake boat launch, which is the same path that the gas line took when that was installed. And as with the Jacob Buck Pond Road culvert, we apologize for any inconvenience, but really look forward to the improvements when it is completed, because that section of road is really poor. Manhole covers are being raised following the new paving of many of our in-town streets. There has been difficulty in acquiring them, and we are doing the best we can to get them installed, and that is why they've not all been done yet. So we literally bought them out, and they've had to try and locate more. It's a difficult situation. Peter Farraher, the executive director of the Down East Family YMCA, has announced his retirement effective January of 2023. He has served the Y for 24 years and has done an exceptional job. They fortunately have a strong leadership team and an excellent board, and hopefully will find another strong leader to continue to move that organization forward. Bids for Phase 2 of the retaining wall replacement project are due by August 17th and will be on the August 25th agenda for bid award. Magnolia Care Homes has acquired the business assets of the Jed Prouty Assisted Living Facility effective August 1st of 2022, and also has a 10-year lease of the building and real estate, which remains in the ownership of Chambers Realty. The microloan on the property was paid off at the time of the business asset transfer. The terms of the forgivable 15-year loan issued by the town in 2011 remain as they are, since the Chambers continue to own the property and it will continue to be operated as an assisted living facility. I would like permission to do a resolve recognizing Betty Gray at the next council meeting. She was a tireless worker on behalf of the town of Bucksport as a founding member of the Bucksport Bay Healthy Communities Coalition and as the school nurse in Bucksport for many years. And Bucksport Bay Healthy Communities Coalition has donated a beautiful white hydrangea for the Riverwalk, and a plaque in her name, in her memory, will be placed with it in a ceremony with her family on August 27th. A reminder that nomination papers are available for 2 town council seats and 1 school board seat. Papers can be picked up Monday through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and must be returned by 5:30 p.m. on September 8th. And finally, in response to questions from the Cemetery Committee and some councilors, I reached out to former town manager Roger Raymond for background on the process that the town used to determine what level of funding each non-town owned cemetery received. It was a very helpful conversation and helped me find documents that outlined that process, which basically were a combination of how large the cemetery was, how many graves it contained, and its level of other funding available. He also helped me find information on the last time that all town-owned cemeteries were reviewed, and the current cemetery committee will be doing site visits to each of them over the next several months and developing an inventory of work that needs to be done in each so that we can establish a plan and a budget for the necessary repairs.
Very good. Thank you to Roger. Thank you to you. Any questions for Sue? Very good. Next is set public hearings and or hold public hearings and approval of any licenses or permits. We have 2 there. The first is liquor license renewal for Maine's Garden.
Motion approved.
Second?
And second, any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Next is CMP pole permit on Mast Hill Road near Upper Long Pond.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
And second, any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Discussion of items not on the agenda for council and public. Start with the councilors. I just have one that I want to make sure that the council is aware of. The Kennecott County Commissioners Caucus needs to, they're having a meeting here on the 23rd, chaired by Commissioner Wambacher, for the purpose of electing 1 municipal officer to serve a 3-year term on the Budget Advisory Committee. I have been doing that, and he has asked that I do it again, and I'm happy to. I do want to make sure that the council is aware of that, and if there's any objections. I just wanted to make sure you were aware. All right.
Thank you, Jim.
Any other discussion items not on the agenda? Steve?
Hi. Hi, my name is Steven St. Peter Jr. I'm the owner of Electric Sun Solar Spongebob, Maine. I've been keeping an eye on new EV chargers from everybody that's been using them. They love them. Of course, I have to tell them that they have to download the app in order to access it and to pay for their charging and stuff like that. I've only had 2 people that have actually paid for their charging. It's like about $2.11. But there's more and more interest. At one point, there was more people driving down into they saw that the thing was full, and so what I did was I told them to go use the free EV charger, and everybody likes it. It's right on the waterfront. They can go to Warren's waterfront restaurant. go shopping around here, so they love it. It's really popular. I hope you guys come down and check it out. Cool. So,
Thank you very much. Anything else?
I'd just like to extend my appreciation to the group of volunteers that helped me out on Saturday here behind the town office. We had the Grand Fund of Hinckley Bike Race that started on the Bangor waterfront. First rest stop was here. They proceeded to Castine. The second rest stop was on the Church Road here in Bucksport, with the end goal back at the Bangor waterfront. We had 5 incoming high school freshmen, Brandy Goss, and outgoing executive director of Main Street Bucksport, Mary Powell, who all volunteered their time. It was a very successful event, and we look forward to 2 more years. It looks like they're going to be pushing the event to June next year to try to avoid the heat wave.
Good. Thank you, Rich. Anything else?
Yeah, Rich, I pulled off of Central Street about 10:30 in the morning, and I sat there till about 10 minutes of 11 before I go up to the bridge.
Traffic was a little backed up in each of the directions, unfortunately, and not on the town. Another agency had offered to have air patrol people stationed according to the route. That was 7 people, and they ended up sending 0.
There were 3 Bucksport policemen right there at the bridge directing traffic.
Yeah, we had 3 of our guys, but there was another agency that was supposed to provide 7, and they provided 0. So our guys did the best they could, and keeping traffic moving as best they could. Out of this area, the last bicyclist left down here at approximately 11.
I don't know how much those people pay for excise tax, but I pay quite a lot to keep them roads. Thank you.
Good.
Very good. Next is upcoming public hearings, designation of topics for committee assignment, and scheduling of committee meetings. I believe we have to have a regulatory review committee meeting on the 25th.
Yes.
So you want that at 6?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else that we need scheduled?
There's an economic development meeting on the 15th.
15th. Yep. Thank you.
So what do they need for those manhole covers to get them?
They went to E.J. Prescott, and they went to, I can't remember the name of the other company, but they just simply haven't had any in stock. We literally bought out
They
all
can't
that
shim
had.
them? They can't shim them up? I worked for the city years ago when they needed to put a manhole cover in. You could buy them that were all raised, all set raised.
I'll follow up, Jim. I don't want to tell you something that I don't know the correct, but I know that the collars that are used to anchor them into the street are what have not been available to raise them up.
Right. And all they gotta do is use the collars that exist, pop them up, shim them, put them back in place up level with the surface.
I'll
Very
check
good.
on that. Like I said, I know that it was I think it was the collars
Yes,
that
the
were
collar that the thing sets on, yeah.
that needed to be raised. But I will check, and I will let you know on what exactly it is that we're missing.
Thank you.
Anything else? Last item is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good night.